running for mayor, I wanted to run because of the homelessness crisis. And back when in the 90s, homelessness was only in South Central and Skid Row. So talk about a stepchild, South LA felt like that. I certainly know Woodland Hills was is there. I think I was there 2 weeks ago, touring the area around the golf course and getting hands-on because I'm a hands-on person. And one of these days, I'd love to attend one of your meetings in person. It's
Oh,
wonderful
absolutely.
to do Zoom because you can, see each other and it's very expedient. But I
Yeah, we
still
agree with
am
agree with that thoroughly.
I like
By the
the
way by the way,
in-person
that
contact.
that it shows how busy you've been. That meeting out here was just this past Saturday. So so you've
I
been definitely
thought it
busy.
was 2
But
weeks ago.
it's interesting that your background, in healthcare, really brought you into trying to deal with the homelessness issue.
Yes.
That is something that's bothering us out here, quite a bit, as you can possibly imagine. And, by the way, as we go through these subject matters, those that have questions please raise your hands. We'll try to get to you. We don't have a lot of time, so we want to keep it short and simple as we possibly can. Um, one of the things about the homelessness, and I think let's hit the biggest criticism I think you had. Initially, you said that you were going to get rid of all the people off the streets in your first term, and that hasn't happened. And I think your comments were that you ran into kind of a buzzsaw in that process. What happened? What was it
Let
that you
me
didn't see
just
that ended up happening that stopped from being able to do what you wanted to do?
let me just tell you oops, I'm sorry, I clicked off the video. I'm gonna tell you something. It might shock you like it shocked me, but I didn't realize that there were people deep into the system who think street homelessness is just fine. They think all the effort should be put into building housing. And listen, I have fast tracked 42,000 units of housing. 6,000 are currently under construction now. I did an executive directive for adaptive reuse, which means hundreds of office building spaces now downtown and in Koreatown are being converted into housing. So I'm a big proponent of housing in the right places, not everywhere. And but to me, you got to get people off the street today. And I'm going to tell you about a decision that we made here in this city that has led to street homelessness. Shocking. We made a decision here maybe 20, 25 years ago to just focus on building, and that they have these bizarre theories that say homelessness, street homelessness, 60% of the people get off the street on their own. What we need to do is make life better for them on the streets. I think that's crazy. I was born and raised here, and if you're out of a certain age, you remember when our streets never had tents, but an
No.
entire generation has grown thinking this is normal. But I got to make one more point. New York made a different decision in that same time period. And New York has 80,000 homeless people. 97% of them are in some form of shelter. So I wanted to build a system of interhousing, and I had no idea that there were elements buried in the bureaucracy that would bitterly oppose that, would fight it every minute.
Well, with your background, you accept the fact that a lot of the people that are out there, have got mental problems. It's not a homeless issue, it's really a
Well,
mental issue.
let me just say something. I challenge any of you to sleep out on the street for 2 weeks and tell me that your mental health is not compromised.
Well, I
So, yes, it is a mental health and it's a substance abuse issue, but both of those fall under the jurisdiction of the county. And it's in the county that I'm describing that this ideology exists.
Well, that's
I
interesting you
don't
say that.
believe,
That's interesting you say that because there's been back when we had COVID came in and we had to put everything over to the county on the health department, there was some movement at that point to suggest that the city should have its own health department. Would you support having our own health department so we could handle this
a
on our own?
100% I would. However, do you know how long that's going to take? I want people off the street today.
Well, just because you're gonna give them a home doesn't mean that they're gonna take it, and we have problems that were going on up here behind Bob Blumenfield's, office where the people would come in there, they would stay there at night for safety purposes, but then they go back out in the streets, so they could do their drugs and deal with all their buddies
And
and what have you.
so I will tell you that I have teams out there, and this is something, by the way, that I was involved in and perfected when I started Community Coalition. We do a form of street outreach that's different, and we have not had significant problems at all in getting people off the street. The people that you have the problems with are the people who are so profoundly ill that half of them don't even know they're on the street. And I'm a big proponent, and as controversial as it is, of involuntary hospitalization. So I've been talking to state legislators about it, but that's the problem is that that's state legislation. So I will tell you some good news though. Voters, probably many people in Woodland Hills, voted for the construction of new mental health institutions. They're being built now. They're being built now. Some of them are due to come online. The largest one is St. Vincent's Hospital, which has been vacant for years as a film location, The Pit, and other movies like that. But it's getting ready to reopen 800
Yeah,
beds.
we don't understand why that didn't happen a long time ago. That facility's been there, and there's been other ones too, like even County USC. It should have been able to be opened up for those processes, but they haven't done that. Hopefully they
Agree?
will. We had a local problem that we had over here with one of the facilities that was attempting to house the 55 and older individuals. It's called the Elderberry Village. It's over on Ventura Boulevard. It's across from Taft. We were, as a community, pretty much opposed from that coming across from Taft because of its location. Not because we don't want to have help for people, just the location just didn't seem to fit. And what we got going on over there now is that particular facility that's being operated or was brought about because of the city, right next to the one from the county. It's the old 818 facility. But the problem over there now is that it's attracting drug use, it's attracting crime.
Oh, it
But one of
is.
the one of the
It is.
what the lights, by the way, up on the street lights up there, they've been pulling the wires out of the street lights as the street lights aren't working. I know you're trying to get a plan in to get LED lights put up in places. We hope that maybe you can pull some strings and get those lights up there right away because we need to light up that area. Crime doesn't like things to be lit up; they like it to be dark. And we need fences up there. We need stuff to be done quickly to stop what's going on. Otherwise, it's an attractive nuisance. The people around it don't want to be there to do their work anymore. So it's becoming a real problem. So hopefully there's something you might be able to do with that. And it looks like
So,
your picture may have frozen up. There we go.
um, well, let me just say that that's horrific. I will work with the councilman on that. What I did was we have 60,000 solar lights going up because that's the other thing about the city is I said, why do you keep replacing copper lights? You know they're going to steal the copper 2 weeks later. They go, well, I said, well,
But up
what's
the
the
LEDs.
path if you replace copper?
Well, we need it over there. We need it over there as well. And the things that's also concerning is what's happened with LASA. The monies that went into LASA are huge. We have billions of dollars that's gone into that to try to help homeless. We're not really seeing the outcome of that. You know that you had some problems with them too, and they're under some investigations on some things. What's your answer to those
Oh,
monies?
yes.
How those monies being monitored and being used properly?
Well, one of the things that I did coming in, and, we can argue whether this was the right strategy, but to me, the most pressing issue and brought me into the race was to address street homelessness. And what I didn't want to do was spend a year and a half studying homelessness. And so I acted. Now, at the same time, I knew the system needed to be transformed. I will admit, like I said, I didn't realize.
Mayor, we've lost him, afraid. Well, while we're waiting for her to come back on, just to let you know, we are going to talk about further things about what's going on with the homelessness over here and what needs to be done concerning that. But we also want to take a look at some of the local control issues that have been going on. Here she is coming back in. Sorry, Mayor, you're back in now.
Hi, everyone.
Mayor, we can see that you have
Debbie.
a name logged in, and I think we can hear you. You're now muted. Our hats off to technology. We become a slave to it sometimes, I'm afraid, and here's an example again. But it's a marvelous technology. I think somebody driving around in an automobile and being able to talk to everybody else by video. Uh, it's an amazing process to it. You're still muted, Mayor. For
Hi,
those that are go ahead. Yeah, there we go. We got
this
you.
is staff. Give us just a moment. We're reconnecting. It'll be just a minute if you want to.
Thank you, staff. Again, for those who are listening, after we finish with the mayor tonight, we get her offline. I think at about 6:30. those who want to stay around, we'll talk more about the golf course and give an update with some of those people who are working on that particular process as to what's going on and what the details are. We'll ask some questions of Mayor because she did take a ride around that facility when she comes back online. But just if you want to get more in-depth information, hang on afterwards, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Um, so uh, keep in mind that
I'm settled now.
there
Uh,
we go. There we go. Oh,
I'm back at the house.
all right, there you go.
So hopefully but I need a cord. I'm worried it's gonna go out.
Well, if it does, we'll deal with it. So it's all good. We got you back in, so we're all good. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Uh,
So you were asking me about Lhasa. You want me to pick up where you left off?
yeah, please, with lots of
Okay.
the monies have been huge, and
Right.
we just if you start looking at how many people have been benefiting from this, and then how much money's been spent, it boggles our mind. I mean, it's almost like people throwing money at it, and if we give these people those monies, maybe so many of them could start businesses and be productive with the amount of money that we're spent. How many
Well,
people have we actually been able to that this actually has really and truly helped, that have put them back into society where they're productive at this point? Do we
yeah,
have any
but
stats?
but as you pointed out before, you've been on the street for a long time. You don't give them money. And they're not gonna get a job and they're not gonna start businesses. That's why I'm a big believer, even though boy do I have my opponents, a big believer in interim housing. It's my health background. I know that people are not well. I worked at county hospital. I used to take care of homeless people. And so they need an interim place so you can deal with whatever is wrong. The problem across the street from Taft is that it's my job as the city to get you off the street, but then I turn you over to a community-based organization who takes it up from there. And these organizations are stretched way beyond their capacity, and that's why you see these problems. And so that one of the things that they're obligated to do that obviously they're not doing here is security. And so I don't know who the provider is that manages that. Do you know which provider it is?
Volunteers of America has got that presently.
Oh, Volunteers of America. Okay,
Yes.
usually they're pretty good. It's their job to manage that
We
facility.
just met with them on Monday with a whole bunch, including with our council member and Orlando and a whole bunch of other people to let them know about some of those difficulties there. But it's what boggles us is such things as they need to put a fence around that place to keep the security in. They've been over there for a long time. That fence should have been up like on day one, and they have the funds for that type of stuff. And yet they say that it's going to be done, and but there's no scheduling of anything that's come out. I did get emails back from Orlando that he's going to give us some of those details. But Mayor, you need to recognize that once you turn it over to these people, there's really no oversight from the city on this stuff. They kind of do it at their own pace. And
Yeah,
we of the community are expecting that we put these monies and hard-earned monies that we expect to get some results immediately on it, and we're just not seeing it, and that's very frustrating to us.
I agree. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the bottom line is that I had to come in, respond to the emergency of getting people off the street, and then really trying to create a system at the same time. So my problem is that when you turn them over to the community-based organizations who just do not have the capacity, they are supposed to provide services, but I have always questioned the quantity and quality of the services. I do not believe it addresses people's needs, and that's why you see the spillover into the streets. So, one of the things that I have been doing is trying to reimagine, rebuild, and create a new system. Now, unfortunately, what the county did, and we were working lockstep. I mean, my theme was locked arms, and we were working just fine. And then the county decided that they were going to break off and take their money. And so that has left now to a more fragmented system. And I'm really worried about that, which is why I've been a very vocal opponent. Because here's one thing that people like to do that I don't. I don't want a new bureaucracy created. And so to create a department, because when you create a bureaucracy, it never wants to die. It's not going to say, well, we're going to just solve this problem and we're going to go out of existence. I've not wanted to do that. And so they've started a department, and to me, they've just institutionalized. I feel like the county and the city over these last decades has never even tried to stop homelessness. They've just been in the mindset of managing it. and I think that is outrageous.
Well, I'm hoping that there's going to be something that can be done in the future for it because it
There
is very
has to
frustrating.
be.
We have it again around Taft High School. I mean, for the life of us to put two of those homeless facilities right across the street from Taft High School didn't make any sense. The one that's from the county was supposed to be for families only, for mothers and children. The children are supposed to be going over to Taft. They're not. Those that are going over there, we're hearing that they're having fights and the gangs are developing up and what have you because they're outside. It's a mess. And a lot of the people
Can't
that are
just throw
overseas,
people together. You can't just throw people together.
I understand, but that's what's happening, and it's all good. I think for all of us to feel this warm and fuzzy feeling of having compassion for those that are out in the street. We all do, but by the same token, it just doesn't seem to be working the way that we've been doing it, and there needs to be some major changes that have to go on at this stage. And I noticed, for example, and we're going to have a fight about this one, I'm sure, that over at the one that's across from Taft High School, they don't have random drug testing because they say it's against the law to do it. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. They should be doing random drug testing on that. It should be part of the contract for them coming in to begin with, that there be random drug testing and that there should be random drug testing, even those that are coming in to visit with them. It'll one or two things, they'll either get straight off of that, even the people coming in, but those that are in there that do fail those tests, they know that they can give them some drug help at that point in time.
Well,
I can't imagine. It's crazy.
you know what I discovered in coming back, and working on the city level? So when I started Community Coalition in 1990, the full name is Community Coalition for Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment. During those years, we believed in sobriety. They don't believe in that anymore. I was shocked to come back and learn that that's kind of taboo. You got to meet people where they are. And if people are ready to get sober, that's good. But if they're not, you got to stick with them.
Well, I would think that you as our mayor could, by executive order, require that at those locations, that indeed they start doing random drug testings at all of them in order to be able
Well,
to find those people need to
the
be taken care of.
the problem we have in our structure is the division between the city and the county. I mean,
Well, there
everybody talks about why can't you be like San Francisco? The benefit of San Francisco is a city and a county. So if we require drug testing on the community-based organizations, how are they going to pay for it?
the little houses that you put up are not under the county; they're under your jurisdiction. The
The
elderberry over here
physical,
is a
the
city.
physical is. Our job is the housing.
Mhm.
It's the county's job in terms of the services.
Well, when you're turning it over to Volunteers of America, for example, it's Volunteers of America that have those contracts, and I would think that you could, as mayor, by a nice little order, indicate that any facilities that can be run by them that are owned and operated by the city, that they're going to have to make random drug testing with that. I think that everybody keeps washing their hands of it, and say it's not my problem, it's the county's
Well,
problem,
let
it's
me
somebody
let
else.
me just tell you
Somebody's got to
this.
step forward and be bold and
Let,
take some
let
steps
me
to make
let
it
me
happen.
let me yeah, but be bold, but you do have to be careful with what you're doing because you require random drug testing and then what? The county controls the treatment. You know what I'm saying? So these
Are you try no, you can't be telling us that you don't have some pull and some work with the county, that if all of you are working together, that you can get a person who's got a drug problem in one of those facilities to get them expedited into a county facility to take care of. I can't
let
believe that
me let me
our
let
government
me
our government doesn't have the ability to do that as a city. I can't imagine
let,
that.
let me just tell you what I have done because the answer is no. But let me just tell you what I did because when I came in, I found a pot of money that was the tobacco settlement and the opioid
Yep,
settlement.
yep.
Now that was just poured into the general fund, okay? Substance abuse is not in the purview of the city. I took the money and used the money to pay for drug treatment slots. And we've been using it for that. It's a small pot of money, but we have been using it. I'm not hung up on jurisdiction, but what unfortunately I am hung up on is resources. And so, trust me, I'm not giving up, obviously. I'm trying to continue in the job, but it's easy to say a lot of these things. And then you get into it and discover that you're dealing with the various levels of government. I
Well,
do
that's what I'm
everything
saying.
I
Maybe we need to
can
have
to work together.
I'm saying maybe we need to have our own health department here to handle those
Yes,
things.
yes. And that'll
And
take a good 10, 15 years.
let's do it. If we start it tomorrow, it'll be here. If we start it 10 years from now, it'll be another 20 years before we have it.
I agree.
You know, if we and if we can find some methods to be able to get these people off the street, and get them to the care that they truly need. I mean, it's a crime to see these people there and the conditions they are. And by the way, another one of the things that I think to a lot of people was concerning, um, your comment about we need to get them teeth. And I know that you had the best intentions on that, but to us, it sounded kind of strange because drug addicts lose their teeth because of the drugs and
You
it's
obviously have to
electroslime
get
and what have you that causes them to go.
you obviously have to get them off drugs, but let me just remind you that the people that are homeless qualify for Medi-Cal. So you're already paying for their health care. My point is, my goal is for people to be self-sufficient. If you don't pay attention to the needs of people, then how do you see, even when you say things like permanent housing, what does that mean for the rest of their lives? But that's the mindset. I don't agree with
It
that.
is.
I think the goal should be self-sufficiency. Trust me, I wish I hadn't said that because it's been totally distorted, but I was making the point that you can't expect somebody to be self-sufficient if you can't provide the basics,
I
address their
agree.
drug
I mean,
problem, address their
clothing
mental
becomes
health.
important. A good pair of shoes becomes important for them. To have good clothes on that's gonna be, sanitary, important, and hygiene all the way across. Someplace to bathe becomes all those things are, but we've gotta do something other than the city just saying, "We've given them the house, now we've turned it over to somebody else," 'cause those somebody elses are not doing it. And these are people that are in our city, or they're on our city streets, they're affecting our residents in the city. And it needs to have, again, some more coordination on that, and if we have to have our own health department, then maybe so be it. Um, well, let's take a look at some other issues on it. One of the
Well,
other things that
Shelley is trying to ask
Oh,
a question.
that's a
I'm sorry?
thank you. Yeah, I was trying to ask a question. I sat in on
Oh, yes,
the
I'm
meeting
sorry. I didn't see your hand up there. My apologies. Oh,
and
there it
I
is.
think one
Go
of
ahead,
the
Shelley.
problems is organizations that are taking over, like Volunteers of America as an example, every time a suggestion is made, their answer is, we're not, the city doesn't allow us to do that. Drug testing, the city doesn't allow us to do that. Limit visitors so that they're not in the rooms, they're in the common area. City doesn't allow us to do that because of tenant laws. And the biggest issue, I think, why you get pushback in all areas for having these is because, for example, the office building next door has sustained $1 million in damage since it
Yes,
has been open.
that's
And
right.
the answer from Volunteers of America was, we are not responsible for anything that happens outside our facility,
Oh
either
my
by our
God.
occupants or their friends.
My God.
And I think that is a major issue that needs
I
to be
agree.
addressed with these service providers.
I agree. And I completely disagree with that viewpoint that they are not responsible. They absolutely are. Because the people that are in their building are the ones causing the problem. And so they absolutely are responsible for that. And thank you for telling me.
They
I
believe
will
they're
follow
not
up on that.
because of, they
And
said, tenant, landlord laws.
and I will also follow up on those issues. Now, let me just say, because I don't know all of the tenant landlord laws by memory. So that could possibly be the case, but let me look into that, okay? And we got to get out of our own way, you know?
Well,
And
that's the problem with
laws
bureaucracy
and stuff
generally.
are passed, ordinances are passed, and long-term or unintended consequences are not thought about or anticipated.
Well, Mayor, that's sort of what gives us the hard time about all this. It's we hear the stories about bureaucracy, and it's stuck with bureaucracy. It needs to stop at some point. And we're the second largest city in the United States, and it needs to stop. As you may know, I was one of the petitioners to bring the valley into its own city back in 2000,
I don't want
because
to see that happen again.
we just found that stuff wasn't being done, and the bureaucracy was just kind of crazy. So
Mhm.
we're hopefully going to be able to do that. Let's move to another area of questions, which just because it's going to dovetail back into the golf course too. Had to do with the fires out of Pacific Palisades. Um, you, the permitting off of those, trying to get those houses back up, is just abysmal. How many houses are actually built at this point in time? We're almost 2 years
Oh,
post fire.
well, let me just tell you, I disagree with that. I do not think that's what is going on in the Palisades. We have over 500 homes that are currently under construction, and we have people that are beginning to move back. We have issued almost 4,000 permits for about 1,200 properties. And I work, and you've seen me work at all levels of government, including with the Trump administration. He believed that was true too. He sent out his EPA administrator, who fortunately was a colleague of mine from Congress. He's here right now today. I'm going to see him tomorrow. He's going to do a press conference tomorrow. This is the Trump administration. He's doing a press conference tomorrow to talk about the progress in the Palisades. The biggest problem Palisadians are having right now is with their insurance industry and with the banking industry, which is why I asked President Trump personally if he would tweet. And he did, and it's made a difference.
Well, I
And
have to say,
so we have,
I'm having,
we, hold on a second.
sure, okay.
We have expedited the permits. We have a one-stop permitting center there in the Palisades, which is popular with Palisadians. Everything they need is right there, right on the spot.
Well, there's, as I understand it, there was 6,800 structures that were destroyed over there. There's about 340 of those that are under construction presently. There's only a
Not
couple of them
true.
that have been built at this point in time.
Not
I
true.
handled some of the Woolsey fire cases as a lawyer, and I had adjusters out on properties within 4 days after that fire. We got insurance payments on stuff. I don't understand this nonsense about the
You,
insurance companies, what have you.
you,
There should be
well,
no problem with that.
I'm going to have to tell you that your numbers are just not accurate. I mean, I get these numbers on a daily basis, but what I will tell you is accurate is what is happening with the insurance industry and the banking industry. And as you well know, those are private industries. And so my level of influence there is reduced to advocacy. I shouldn't say reduced. I took a delegation of Palisadians to Sacramento to advocate. There's legislation that we're pushing for. There's amendments that have been adopted, and that is in terms of the insurance industry. And I don't know if you saw, but a very controversial thing for an Angelino to do is to go to the White House and appeal to the president. And I said to him, look, only you can move these industries. I can't move these industries, and frankly, our state government is only limited. So if people are stuck rebuilding, there's hundreds of people that have permits, have approvals that are stuck, and it is not because of the city.
Well, it turns out that, to us at least, that there's a movement up in Sacramento that's kind of blocking everything that you're trying to do and everybody else is trying to do, and they're trying to take away all of our local control over just about everything. We saw it with SB 79, which you opposed, but the governor signed it anyway. We see it
I
with,
met with him personally and asked him not to.
and what did he do?
He signed it.
He signed it
You know
anyway,
what he
didn't
did?
he? And the legislature up there with AB 2011, which we got problems with the golf course on that, all the amendments that went on to that. This whole idea that they want basically to get rid of the single family homes, single family residence completely. How dare we have uh, 2 people or 4 people living in that particular footprint when we can have 4 stories or 8-story apartments in those locations? They're taking away that what the stuff that people have worked their entire lives for in some areas to it. 79 is a problem. The city has some control over what they're going to do in that. I hope that you'll step in and make sure that that's going to end up happening. But that brings us over to the golf course, if you will. It's really not about the golf course, very frankly. The AB 2011 really turns out to have an effect throughout this entire state. And what they did is they snuck in, as you well know, the definition of a commercial zone. And the commercial zone is any street that's over 50 feet but less than 175 feet is a commercial zone. And regardless of how it's zoned next to that, they can build just about anything they want to by expediting it. And that's what's going on with the golf course right now. And that's unfortunate. You took a ride around on Saturday with that. What was your impressions of that? And I know we have one of the gentlemen that's here is going to have some questions, I think, for you too about that. Heath, let's see if I can get you in too on that one because you were there as well. And Heath, if you've got your hand down, and I know that you're coming in here too. Let's see if I bring you in here someplace so we can see your face. There we go. So if I don't see your face, Heath, are you there?
I'm working on it. It's worth waiting for. Good
Okay, we
evening,
got you.
Mayor
Go ahead, Heath. Go ahead.
All right. Great to see you this evening back at home. Hopefully you'll get to bed tonight before 2 a.m. I
Who knows?
recognized the inside of your mayor mobile as you were getting there because of the time we spent together Saturday touring the Girard track. And what I thought would be really helpful to the community that's listening would be for you to share some of your first impressions about the conditions in the Girard track and the compatibility of adding all those additional vehicles with that potential first phase 900 vehicle, 400 unit project. So if you could just tell us and the community what you shared with me as we rode around together.
Well, first of all, I really, really appreciate you all taking the time to meet with me on Saturday. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to coming back and meeting with the community again. I appreciated you taking me on tour. And all I have to say, as I told you there, I can't even imagine it. I can't imagine it. It's one thing, like one of the problems in the Palisades is the building that took place decades ago. And so now, the emergency vehicles getting down and all of that is a real problem, or was a real problem in the Palisades. So to have this situation where the housing doesn't exist and you're going to build it, and the evacuation zones are an issue, that's a whole nother ball game. And so that it left a very deep impression on me, and I appreciated it. I'm a hands-on person, like I said before. I like the experience of being in the community and seeing firsthand. I don't want people to tell me. I don't want people to, staff to go. I want to go myself. And you gave me that opportunity, and I really appreciated it. And it was very helpful to how we're going to move forward.
Great.
Well, I
And
hope
thank you
there's
for
something
that
that can be.
commitment
What
and
did you say? I'm
bringing.
sorry.
I just want to thank you for that commitment and look forward to when you can return with
Yeah.
Fire Chief Moore so we can
Oh, yes.
get down to the nitty gritty on these issues.
Yes, I just left him, and in a few hours, he's going to announce that the fire is put out in Boyle Heights, which is
Good.
going to make people feel, much, much better.
That'll
Yes,
ease up some pressures on you too, Mayor.
I
But
can only imagine what he's going to say when he travels through there.
well, the difficulty for us is, listen, I live up in that area, and it's when we moved in here, we knew there was risk of things we're going to have to do. The risk of the mountain lions up here and what have you. It's part of the charm of the location, and the little small streets that are here, as you saw, they're very very small. You can't get a car you can't get two cars side by side hardly through most of the areas, let alone get a fire truck up through here. Uh, we knew that those risks that were there, but what they're doing with this complex down there is they're increasing that risk, a risk that we never wanted to have, and we don't have any input about it. Nobody's asked us any questions about it. Nobody's tried to say, is there any alternatives to what they're doing? And we hope that you would, by some executive order someplace, take some actions to try to stop it. It's not just happening here; it's happening in other parts of the county and in the city as well, and will be happening throughout the entire state. Because once everybody gets their nose in under the tent of this commercial zone and what it does to opening up the abilities to build with expedited abilities, saves them a great deal of money, not having to go through CEQA and what have you. I mean, obviously, you saw that property out there is potentially a very strong animal habitat. And not to have a CEQA or to look to see if there's some alternative to it or what might be able to be done that could minimize that, I think would be an absolute crime. So hopefully that we'll be able to get something done with that. What's been your impression with what's going on in Sacramento with this assault that's going on our local control? We've worked hard out
Well,
here with
I
a lot
served
of
in
these.
Sacramento, okay,
Yeah,
for 6
yeah.
years, and so I know how Sacramento works, and I think it's unfortunate because I think that, well, I mean, I know, I mean, I I watched it happen when I was there. The lawmakers there propose policies that wind up, as we all know, being statewide. It's a blanket policy, and I think that an SB 79 is probably a very appropriate policy for a number of cities that are just doggedly against building housing. That is not Los Angeles. We've made incredible strides. Now, granted, we need to build half a million homes, and we have plans to do that. So, to me, it's a question of let us do what we were already doing. But unfortunately, it applies to us that I don't believe is appropriate, whereas there are other cities where it's very important to have these policies. So trust me, I know, and it's difficult to fight these things once there is a movement behind it, and it goes statewide.
Well, we do have some questions from some of the audience out there. I see that
That's
uh,
nice.
Waters, I can barely see because the screen's real small for you. Waters,
Michelle Waters and
Michelle
Doug.
Waters, go ahead.
Yes.
Hi,
With your question.
can you hear me?
You
Yes.
can, just fine. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Mayor Bass, I have a question. Other countries recognize golf courses as green space and buffer zones for fire to slow down a fire. And they're also a place for emergency vehicles to land. And of course, they protect the habitat, the ecosystem. And having lived through a fire, we always had bolt cutters in our cars so that if there was an emergency, we could get onto the golf course. It seems that this is not happening in LA. Is this something you could propose and change?
Well, that sparks other controversies. And so, I'm with you 100% in terms of green space. But, and I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, but golf courses are very controversial too in terms of the use of water and many other issues. So I think what's done in other countries and other cities is extremely helpful to look at, but not always 100% replicable. And so I think it is something that we need to pay attention to in our urban environment. We need more green space. There's parts of town that have virtually no trees and very little green space, but hundreds of thousands of residents.
What's interesting for up
Because
here,
once it's lost, it's gone.
Exactly.
what's interesting for us up
Exactly.
here is the watering of that golf course keeps everything, the humidity up here quite nice. So it stays nice and cool compared to some other areas. And by the way, that golf course there is paying, from what I understand, one of the problems they're having is they're paying for city water at full price, like $500,000 a year. And I think there should be something that should be able to be done to get them a decent price, or farming type price, or something else on the water that's being used, or find some way to get some reclaimed water brought into the location. So I think there should be some other ideas, hopefully, that can come up on that. I see a question by Jamie. Jamie, you're unmuted. You can go ahead with your question.
I'm your best. I
Keep your voice up, Jamie.
pardon me.
Keep your voice up.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Mayor Bass, I was at the meeting this past Saturday at the church, and I was sitting directly to your left.
Yes, I remember.
And we had spoken briefly about a possible carve out that might help give some controls back to our planning department. And I know I was very grateful when I'm not going to say what the carve out is, but you were very amenable to it and said that you could possibly help us with that. And then we got into the discussion about, needing a state level carve out because of vesting. Excuse me. I wanted to revisit that with you briefly and see if you might still consider issuing your own executive order with that carve out, because we feel that it may help give planning a little more confidence with the stance that they take with respect to the country club development. We aren't quite sure why they haven't ruled on this yet, given all of the information we've supplied to them with biological reports and Mountains Conservancy weighing in and everything. So just wanted to bring that up and see what your thoughts might be on that.
Yes, I learned a lot from you about mountain lions in, in ways that I had never thought of before. I really appreciated meeting with you. It was just such a pleasure to meet with all of you. I was there with staff who I know are going to follow up. Unfortunately, honestly, I've just been absolutely drowning in the fires. I've been there almost full time, day in and day out. And so I've not talked to staff, but I will have staff follow up with your group and respond to that. I don't know necessarily that an executive directive is warranted. We might be able to do it other ways, But I am always happy to use whatever authority I have to the full extent that I have that authority in the form of executive orders, executive directives. So I will follow
What's
up with you, and I have staff with me now who I'll make sure follow up from the meeting on Saturday. You were with me on
that's
Saturday, weren't you? Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
that's good, Mayor. We need to
Oh,
have jump on that pretty quickly because they want to move on that as well. We have Ali, you're unmuted. You've got a question as well. Go ahead.
and Doug and Scott. Don't forget them.
Sorry, it's not Allie. It's the benefit of her husband.
Oh,
Why
we
is
have an
that?
echo.
Why is there that echo?
We got an echo. You must have something else on, Douglas.
I don't know. Well, I'll make my question quick.
I'm gonna have to mute you out, Douglas. There's too much there on that going on. Scott, go ahead and unmute yourself. Scott, go ahead and unmute yourself. Douglas, it is you that's causing the feedback on that. Scott, go ahead and unmute. There you go. Go ahead, Scott, with your
Good
question.
evening. Mayor, I'm in the business of keeping businesses in Los Angeles. I'm in the commercial real estate industry. And a lot of my clients are smaller businesses, and they're valley, almost all of them are valley related. And over the last number of years, I've watched these businesses, as well as my own business, get beat down by the city over and over. Not only the city, but Sacramento get beat down over and over and over, trying to maintain a standard. But it seems like the government is always in the way of the business. Why can't we figure a way to make it easier to do business in Los Angeles? Because every step of the way, I'm taking people out of LA and I'm moving them to Calabasas, or I'm moving them to Nevada. But it's really, it hurts when I have to do this. I'm doing it 40 years, and it just is so bad right now. I don't know what to tell businesses anymore.
I'm sorry, I muted myself, didn't know. That is so unfortunate to hear because I have tried to do an awful lot. I started a business cabinet. I convened businesses even when I was running. And I said, why is it so hard to do business in the city of LA? What is the viewpoint of business? Well, the viewpoint of business is the city dismisses, takes for granted, or is openly hostile to business. You talk about executive directives. I've come up with a series of executive directives that I would like to send to you. And maybe you could tell me which is working and what isn't. And then I'd like to follow up with you directly and hear some specific examples of what roadblocks you have now. But my staff that's on the line, Scott Silverstein, I want to
Yes.
send him the executive directives that are business related. They're business related in general, and then a whole series of executive directives that are related to the entertainment industry. And then one of the projects we took on was al fresco. Because remember, I came into office as we were just beginning to recover from COVID, and
Yes.
everybody liked al fresco. So we worked on an ordinance. We didn't get it right the first time. We had to go back and make some changes with feedback. What I believe in is working in collaboration. And so I'd like for you to see what we've already done and tell me this isn't working, this was a good idea. Or the other thing that needs to happen is it's fine for me to do these executive directives, but then I have to enforce them with the general managers. And my basic stance is get on board or get off.
I did a restaurant. I had a restaurant was going to move into a space. Al fresco wanted an outdoor patio, and it would have cost them a number of thousands of dollars to put up the structure. But then the fire department came in and said you needed to put sprinklers in an outdoor open air patio. Would have cost them $75,000. That's just preventing business for unreasonable requirements.
I can't agree
But
with you more.
yeah, I'd love to
But
work on
again,
this with you.
yeah, but again, I want you to understand, especially how I work. When you do an executive directive or come up with policies, you can't necessarily think of all of Oh, good, 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 good. Okay, Vahid is on. Oh, okay. One of my deputy mayors is on now. Vahid, I think a lot of you know him. Corson.
I know Vahid, a long time.
Okay, so he'll follow up on it, but you can't think of every little thing. And that's why I'm constantly changing and updating and critiquing policies. So the policy I made, I'm sure doesn't address that one thing. And so I can come up with the most beautiful policy, but then you give me feedback that says, but you missed this. And then
Right.
we can respond to it. And the other big problem was also, the DWP, by the way. And I want you to know we have a new general manager at the DWP, and he is setting up concierge services for developers and for other people trying to do business with the city. I want to do everything I can to encourage business with the city. And I think the place to start now is looking at some of the policies I put in place and critiquing them for me and suggesting new ones.
Ali,
Thank you.
you're open on your mic. Ali, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it's Alex, the other half of Ali.
Oh, the other, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, it's fine. Ali is the one who actually joined the WHO, and I just tag along.
All right,
Uh,
very good.
so going back to the golf course development, I just wanted to share a little bit with the mayor. In when the Palisades fires were going and the fire was coming up over the mountains, we got an evacuation order. We packed all of our things into the back of our pickup truck, and our escape out was Canoga, which is where the development's going to be. And
Wow.
had the development been there, or
Wow.
even the construction for it, had it been there, we would not have been able to leave. That we would have been stuck at our house, and where we are, Canoga is only 24 feet wide, and we're only 500 feet from that driveway. So it would have been an impossible thing for us to leave, with our vehicle. We probably, we would have had to walk out or crawl out or whatever, whatever the case may be. And I was wondering, Mayor Bass, with the time that you've had in Sacramento, is there a way that you can contact some of these people that work on these bills, like Wicks and Wiener, and have a conversation with them about, sometimes just like what you were saying about policies, sometimes policies work really well and sometimes they don't.
In
Is there
theory,
something that can be done?
well, Wiener's on his way out.
Well, he's
I,
going to have another job, though.
well, but that's a whole different job.
That's true.
You can't single-handedly go into Congress and do anything. You got to get 219 people to support you, and the breadth of the nation won't tolerate half the stuff that happens in
As you well know.
California, and I think you know that. But but Buffy, you should know I've been joined at the hip with her every day for the last few weeks dealing with ULA. And yes, I will talk to her about some of these. I see you're a fan, Scott. But I have time for one more because I have to go. I have to go do a quick change and run off to another event. But let me just say that doesn't have to be the last time. Like I said, I really hope we can do this in person. But I'm happy to be as accessible to you as you want. And I look forward to, letting the chief get past this and coming back out there. I really enjoyed my visit and I would like to come back for a more extensive tour.
We'd be happy to have you out here as well. We get one last question from Jackie, who's been working out here with the stuff at the golf
I
course.
do
Well,
have
Jackie,
to
you're
say
unmuted.
that
Go ahead.
Doug's hand has been up for a long time. So how about Jackie and Doug?
Yep.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead,
I'll
Jackie.
go fast. Mayor Karen Bass, it was so nice to see you on Saturday.
Thank
And
you.
I just wanted to reiterate, Councilmember Blumenfield has really been on our side. He's been
Yep.
trying to do what he can. I'm hoping that you'll continue to work with city planning and him to do some of the things that were within city planning's clear purview to act soon. I don't think with this golf course development that this is a controversial ask. There's proof of habitat and other options. And so we're just really hoping that you'll continue to work with Councilmember Blumenfield. And he'll be out here on that Monday event that was alluded to earlier. So that was my question, which is more of a statement. But do you plan on following up with the council member's office?
Yes, and as I mentioned to you, but maybe not everybody here knows, the councilman and I have worked together for many years. We served together when I was in Sacramento. And he was a part of my leadership team when I was speaker. So aside from working together for many years, we're also friends, and I think he's been an outstanding leader. And I know he's going to continue to be when he goes back to Sacramento. So I hope you're telling him all of this because he'll be back in Sacramento. And now he will know it from a whole other side. Because when the two of us were there, we had never served in public office before. And it's easy to do some of these things and not understand the local impact. He's going to go up a whole different a whole different voice. Can I hear from
Yep.
Doug and then let me leave you at this point?
Doug, we can. Are you unmuted, Doug? I think we're having problems before with Doug before on his voice on that one. Doug, if
Okay,
you're there,
well,
go ahead. If you're there, Doug. Doug, are you there?
he's connecting the audio, it says. Let's see if he can.
Doug, go ahead if you can.
He didn't.
Looks like he's not happy. Well, Mayor, we want to thank you seriously for coming out with us. We know that you have many other things going on, especially with all the fires and everything else have been going on, and that's been they've been pulling at you in all different directions. We thank you for your time here. Thank you for your candor in answering the questions with us. We hope that you'll come back out with our organization.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there he goes.
You still get,
Hi.
you still got an echo going on, Doug.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can, but there's a terrible echo, Doug. Go ahead with your quick question if you can.
Okay. I want to thank the mayor for
Just a
being
question,
here.
Doug. You're echoing. Just a question, Doug.
Mayor, I live up the street from Taft, very close to the development that's proposed there. And I just want to say that nobody in our group is opposed to taking care of the homeless or housing them. That's not part of our sentiment. What we're opposed to is an ill-conceived structure like this is to make an absolute disaster of the corner of Ventura and Del Marino. It's already a traffic rush twice a day from Taft High School. It's a lot of traffic anyway, and there's no way to park. All streets in all directions, blocks and blocks, are 2-hour restricted. The developer has finally proposed an underground lot, 35 spaces, 71 units with retail establishments. And if there are seniors in there, which he says, there's no way for emergency vehicles. Tandem parking means half the cars will be trapped in this lot. It's just would be astounding to me if the city planning would approve this thing. So I hope you'll take a look at it, Mayor, and I do appreciate your being here today.
You
Well,
got it. And I just want you to know that I always want to be accessible to you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. And I certainly hope it's not the last time.
Mayor, I think so too. Hopefully, we'll have you back out maybe for a candidates forum. Like I said, you may have to put up with me as the moderator. I don't
We'll
know.
talk. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. So listen, we do deeply appreciate that. Continue up your work that's there. Thank you for your time. For those that are online that want to hear some more about what's going on with the golf course, we'll give you an update on that one. Good night to you, Mayor. Get some good sleep.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Try.
God bless. Take care.